Hello again, and thanks for rolling with us into the back half of the hour. I'm Ana Cabrera in for Carol Costello. Good to have you with me. In just a matter of days now, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders go head to head in the first Democratic presidential debate. And this means both campaigns are, of course, preparing right now, gearing up. Here's what the Times writes: that over the next few days, Mrs. Clinton and her aides will look for the best way to explain to viewers why she is a better choice than her nearest rival without sounding condescending to Mr. Sanders or dismissive of his views, so she does not risk alienating his growing army of supporters. Now, among Clinton's tactics, perhaps, her focusing on those new gun control proposals, her challenging some of Sanders' spending plans. Let's discuss more about this. Political science professor at Hiram College, Jason Johnson, is joining me now. He's also a contributor on Sirius XM POTUS channel. Thanks for being here, Jason.
Thanks,
now, if you were advising Clinton, what would be your advice in these final days before that debate?
The most important thing for Hillary Clinton to do is say what she has accomplished. That's something that Bernie Sanders can't really talk a lot about. I mean, he's been in the Senate for a long time, but Clinton can say, look, I ushered through the Violence Against Women Act. I was Secretary of State. I got Osama bin Laden. She needs to focus on what she's done versus what Bernie Sanders has talked about, and that's a way to draw a contrast without seeming condescending or too harsh.
Right, because a lot of people view Bernie Sanders as sort of this very nice, almost grandfatherly figure. Now, on the flip side, Clinton being a woman, you don't want to sound patronizing to her either. So if you were Bernie Sanders, what do you do?
Well, what Bernie Sanders has to do is simply say, look, we need something new. Now, it's interesting because, they're both fairly old candidates, but Bernie Sanders is going to say, I am new. I'm going to bring something new to Washington. Hillary is old guard. She's been in Washington for 20 years. She's part of this disappointing administration. But here's the catch. It's also going to be interesting to see, what do the other three candidates do? Lincoln Chafee, Jim Webb, Martin O'Malley. Are they going to strike at Clinton? Are they going to strike at Bernie? So both of the two frontrunners have to be careful as well.
You talked about Clinton really touting her accomplishments, but We've also noticed that in recent weeks she's gone out of her way to highlight her differences from the Obama administration in their current positions. Things like issues of Syria. She says she supports a no-fly zone. She's had differences in talking about immigration and deportations. She came out recently with a stance on the Keystone Pipeline. We're still waiting to hear a specific stance from the Obama administration. Do you expect her to try and play up her differences from President Obama, and is that a good strategy?
I think that's a good strategy in a general election. It doesn't really matter now. Remember, it's a Democratic primary. Most Democrats actually like President Obama. So Hillary Clinton doesn't need to say, I'm that much different than him. But should she win the nomination next summer, if she's up against Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, or even Donald Trump, she's going to need to say, look, I'm my own woman, and I am different from this administration. But right now, I don't think it's necessary.
When you look at these recent poll numbers from Quinnipiac University this morning, while Clinton does lead in all three key swing states, Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, another thing we learned about in these numbers is that Joe Biden has much more favorable ratings overall. When you look at the majorities there, he's looked at like somebody who's more honest and trustworthy than either Clinton or Sanders. He's looked at as somebody who has more empathy for the average person, that he cares about me. He, too, is seen as a good leader. How is he going to throw a juggernaut in this race should he enter?
I am putting down my foot as the Joe Biden is not running campaign. Okay,
really?
Anna, I don't think he's running. And so I think to a certain extent, all of these numbers that show what a fantastic candidate he is, everybody loves the backup quarterback. I mean, everybody loves Joe Biden because he's not running. I think if he actually had to run and was held under scrutiny, and people look back at him putting together the crime bill in the 90s, what he did to Anita Hill, I think some of these numbers would drop. So right now, Hillary and Bernie have to focus on each other because Joe is probably not getting in this race.
All right, Jason Johnson, you heard it here first. He's saying no, Biden in the race. Thank you very much.